Hey there, Annie Gishuru here, racial equity coach for online business owners who are ready to build a business that is racially equitable so they can be intentionally inclusive. Today's lesson is all about language, specifically dehumanizing language. I've just gotten off a podcast where I was being interviewed, and I so loved the conversation. And the conversation was really centered around language. The person who was interviewing me has a background in education, having been a teacher, and so language was something that is so important to her. And we dove a little bit into that. And it's what has led me to create this lesson for you, but more so around the dehumanization of language and how it's used to dehumanize people, specifically people who come from marginalized backgrounds. And when I think of the language that's been used to describe people who are treated less than, it is always language that is incredibly demeaning, calling them animal names like dog, pig, rat, a leech, a maggot, cockroaches. I specifically remember that name, cockroach. During the Rwanda genocide, when the Hutu militia were using that kind of language to refer to the Tutsis that they were trying to eliminate. And they were saying that, referring to them as cockroaches that needed to be squashed. And we've seen that play out historically, that dehumanizing language. And the reason why it's used in that way by the abuser is so that it removes any element of humanity from that individual. It makes you not look at that person as a human, but look at them as this thing, this animal, this object that does not deserve a life. And we've seen that play on in terms of in the political realm. We've seen how some political leaders have referred to women. And even when it comes down to slavery and how they were referred to as slaves and given that title, when you think about it, that's a label of something they are not. They did not sign up to be slaves. They were enslaved. And so they are more than that. Being a slave is not their title, was not their title. And so when somebody is called those dehumanizing names, that gives them the identity. That's telling the person this is who they are. When in essence, that's not who they are. That's putting another label on them. And it is causing you to be desensitized to who they are as a human being. And so when it comes to racial equity work, there are many ways in which we have dehumanized, people of color, people who come from racially diverse backgrounds. When you think of, refugees coming into a country and how they might be called, the boat people. And so that's what we are calling them. They're not even, humans per se, but we're putting that label on them rather than perhaps the country they're coming from. And the term migrant, I've often had people say, I struggle with that because migrant is really just synonymous with being a person of color. Terminology such as a BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, that acronym sometimes rubs off a lot of people who might be in that category in a way that just makes them feel like a label, an item, something that is not, who they feel they are. And that is what the dominant narrative will do. That is what the dominant culture will do for the things that they do not understand or the things that they want to undermine. They give different names and different labels. And so having that conversation was really interesting in how we were able to converse in that podcast with Kate. And I can't wait for that episode to be released. But in the interim, I've been working on an ebook which has some really important words that will support you on your racial awareness journey. And these are not just words that have just been thrown together for you to kind of know their meaning, but these are the most important words that you will come across in your journey when you're doing racial equity work that give you not only the meaning, but the history behind that word, where it has been coined by somebody, who that person was. And in the instances where that particular term or word may have been misused, and or where it has been used in a way that has been harmful and not fully what it was intended to be. And I think this is an ebook that everybody should have, whether you're an online business owner or just a human who is trying to do better and understand matters to do with racial equity. It is a must have and is now available, the link below this video.